Welcome back to Two Up Front, and want to take a look at what is happening beyond the borders of Africa, because while the AFCON was brilliant and had all of our attention, we still keep an eye what is happening over in Europe, particularly in the English Prem, Chuck, where let's start with Arsenal, Manchester United. Let's start with Manchester United because you are for a change. You are in a good mood, right? Because in the words of Jacob Zuma, every time I come here, I am abused. So let's not do that with you, Chuck. Let's go into the Manchester derby. 2-0 to Manchester United. Ruben Amorim is gone. You have Michael Carrick who's come in as the interim manager until the end of the season. The owners are at Old Trafford watching what is transpiring on the pitch. It is the Manchester derby. City come with Semenyo and other signings that they've made in their push for the title. But Manchester United said no. Manchester is red. 2-0 to the Reds. And from me to you as well, it's glory. Well, at least I thought it would. It would be. We'll come back to that though. But United 2-0 in the derby.
Surprise result, and a bigger surprise was the performance. United look irresistible, almost unplayable at moments, and I think, and I must caveat that by saying, before this game even was played, the likes of Gary Neville and such were saying, regardless of what Carrick does this season, don't hire him. He must stay as interim manager. I'm like, so what if we ride the crest of the wave, go into Champions League comfortably? Are we pulling the plug on Carrick just because of scars that we had past? But anyway, thank God, Ivory Coast got knocked out. Cameroon got knocked out.
What did I say to you?
We needed those.
What did I
guys
say
back.
to you? I literally said to you, Chuck, that this is a good outcome for the Premier League, right? To where Ivory Coast are gone, Cameroon are gone, and you can get your star players back.
Imagine if Bafana had beaten Cameroon. They probably have 6 more points now. But anyway, Ruben Amorim will still have been manager. We don't know. But speaking about that game, Jay, it was amazing to see United play the way that they did, with almost zero fear of City, because I've had it in my mind for the longest time that whenever we get to play against City, there is a scar, there is a mental block that we can try whatever we can against everyone else, but against City and Liverpool.
Wait, Chuck, do you really feel like that? Liverpool, I get, right? I know the amazing record Salah has against Liverpool. I know the amazing record Klopp had against Manchester United. And Liverpool have absolutely dominated that rivalry in recent years, the last decade or so. But with the Manchester derby, do you really feel... Because going into the derby, right, I thought that United had a chance. One, new manager bounce, whatever the case may be. But also, regardless of who's been managing United... Yes, you've had some drubbings from City. Think about the 6-1, 6-3. Yeah, and you think about the game at
6-1 was with Sir Alex. 6-3 was most recent.
So we're talking about most recent. Yes, 6-3 where you get the double hat trick from Haaland and Foden. And then there was the game at Old Trafford, which probably should have been more following the game against Liverpool, prior to the game against Liverpool, when Liverpool put 5
when
past
people were
United.
just having fun against. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you've had games where Marcus Rashford is doing his thing, Paul Pogba is doing his thing, while City have been managed by Pep Guardiola. And if I'm not mistaken, Solskjaer left with a winning record against Pep. And
since then, that things I think have been sketchy for me.
But United have been in the fights in the derby, regardless of how great City have been.
I don't know what we do when we go to the Etihad. Like for me, where I'd like to be, and it's more of a fairy tale than anything realistic. When Arsenal face City, it's like, let's go. When Arsenal face Liverpool, it's like, let's go. Regardless of who's managing you, at least in the last 3 seasons, they're like, let's go. Let's see who's the better team.
Chuck,
and you've
that's
often
recent.
left. Yeah,
that is recent because when Arsenal won against Manchester City, if not last season, the season before that was the first time in 11 years, Chuck. First time in 11 years in the Prem.
Yeah.
And when Liverpool are concerned, like Liverpool have just, in the last decade as well, just continued to dust up Arsenal. So,
okay, so the real thing that we do agree on in terms of the scars is Liverpool versus United. That's one way we're like, okay, that one is real. But for me, Jay, the Haaland hat-trick wasn't so much of a surprise. Like, I was like, at some point, we're going to deliver a performance like this against City. At some point, I mean, there are those games, right, where Bruno's flicking it over to Martial, he's scoring, Rashford gets that goal. Like, those are games where I'm looking at the score and I'm like, that's us, one goal up, because I just don't tend to expect much from United when it comes to playing we give Arsenal a tough time because of how they look in the season. We give Chelsea a tough time, often naked. But when it comes to Liverpool and City, I think those are the teams that we do poorly against. And so going into this one again is like playing the way that we've played, having had the season that we've had, and with the players that we have now at our disposal, because we didn't know which Ahmad and Mbeumo are going to be included in this starting 11. It was like, I don't know if we have enough in the tank, because you're going to see Jack Fletcher come play for us, about Dogo with Shaw, with it was too many defenders on the pitch. So I went into that one not feeling too confident. But when I saw the display, I was like, I'll have more of that. So I don't know what it is. And I want to bring up Ray's comments, which is, so why weren't you guys performing like this for Amorim? And I know there's players, there's formations, there's the manager and the feel of the place. But the thing with United is that every other time someone comes, we play, and then it dips again. And then we play. And we keep saying there are players there. But then sometimes you're like, but why aren't they delivering? And then on a night like, it was a midday kickoff. On a day like that, you're like, more of that. But then it's hard to come by. So I'm happy. I'm hoping in the next game, which is also a tough game, we do more of that.
Yeah, let's hope there's none of that when Manchester United go visit Arsenal in their next matchup in the EPL. And they only have Premier League matches left for the rest of the season. So can just focus in on those. But yeah, Chuck, what a result. What a result and what a performance from Manchester United. You know, when walking away from that match, I felt, as many people felt, that the scoreline flattered Manchester City, because there was a goal then at the end that was disallowed by Mason Mount, where you even had an update from the City social media that Mason Mount makes it 3. And that wasn't shocking in the vacuum of what we were watching. Shocking, yes, in terms of Manchester United and Manchester City in 2026, right? But the performance was one that should give hope to Manchester United fans. And as I've said countless times, where do you go with this team? Because players have come and gone, coaches have come and gone, sporting directors have come and gone, even ownership has got an infusion of somebody other than just the Glaziers. So if you've turned the whole organization upside down and you still haven't gotten back to where this team should be, that feels hopeless, right? And so a performance like that would give hope not only to the fans but also to the organization as a whole. That one, even your most recent decision of appointing Michael Carrick as interim manager has paid off. So now there's a confidence that, well, maybe we're in a position where we are putting into place, or we have systems which can guide us in making the right decisions. And in terms of the personnel, very impressed with the players. Kobe Mainoo was making his first start in the Premier League this season. Why? You deserve to be fired, Mr. Ruben Amorim, because of that foolishness. Why are you not playing this man? Why are you going to say it's either him or Bruno? Look how they play when they're together. Bruno Fernandes is allowed to play as a number 10. He was going out wide, putting crosses into the box. He was making runs into the box, looking like Frank Lampard, looking like himself, in fact, because we've seen him play like this with a lot more freedom. In terms of the tempo, in terms of controlling the game, Kobe Mainoo is there. And then you've got a Casemiro right there next to him. Again, Casemiro not at his absolute best. But that also leads me to the next thing where the players are concerned and why there should be optimism and hope from Manchester United fans. Because United are more than 50% of the way there, in my opinion, in terms of getting a good to great starting 11. Great decision on Cunha, great decision on Mbeumo. They were very much the star man at their teams, and that is translating to different levels. But against the first season at Manchester United, Benjamin Šeško is 21 or 22. He's in his early 20s, right? And he's a physical specimen. And at that height, he's got touch. And we saw him before his injury start to find the back of the net. If you coach him up well, you might have something interesting there at striker. Kobe Mainoo should be playing. You saw what he did. Man of the match for me in the performance against Manchester City. And Bruno Fernandes is Bruno Fernandes. He speaks for himself, you know. And then you got Lenny Yoro, and you can build around that. You've got a goalkeeper. Got a goalkeeper for the next decade or 15 years, unless something catastrophic happens there. So what you just need now is De Ligt. Hopefully he comes back, and the guy we saw at Ajax completely reaches the ceiling at Manchester United. Then you're just filling out spaces, right? At left back, again in this match, if Doggy is scoring, that just tells you what performance Manchester United had.
Yeah.
But he's a boneheaded player. Sorry to say that. United need a left back. Shaw is no longer a left back, and you had what's the boy from Netherlands?
Malasia.
Malasia. You had Malasia there as well. So you need a left back.
He should go before Togo. Next.
They should all go, Chuck.
Yeah.
Manchester United need a left back. Dalo, who is a player that I really liked for the longest of times, he also is not long-term the person who should be there. So we're talking about 3-4 players and then fleshing out the squad. And then it's a good thing. Then it's just the manager to put it all together, right? I don't know if Carrick will be the man. It's going to be hard to argue if, say, he guides Manchester United to third place, let's say, or in the Champions League, and they look consistently good under his tenure. How do you really say thanks for the good times and go? But maybe you say that because you don't want to be drawn into what you have been before, right? Where a moment makes you make decisions long term. I still stick by go find a dominant, winning coach who's got a pedigree. Someone like a Tuchel, if he's available after the World Cup. Somebody, and my favorite, like Luis Enrique at PSG, and just give him the project, right? So, great performance. And for me, it's not just the performance and the result. It speaks of greater things to come if it's managed properly.
Yeah, I'm on the fence in terms of the management stuff. If the likes of the Enrique and Tuchel, as you name, are not available, I don't think we go for a lesser name and sacrifice Carrick. Because if you've built something, I know there are scars, I know there were mistakes that were made, but it doesn't necessarily mean that if you were to appoint an interim manager that it's also going to be a mistake. You have to run the metrics. You have to see how the team feels. Are they gelling? Are they putting something good together? So just because we made the oil decision doesn't mean we can't make the Carrick decision, I think, as well. But it depends on what he does.
You must not be a prisoner of the moment, you as well, Chuck.
No. What I'm saying is that it's game number 1 is Swinile. But if he does complete the season and we're in a good place and we are playing football that we do enjoy, and it is to an extent winning football because there's nothing else to win, because that would mean we have to go all the way past Arsenal, which is very difficult at this point in time, almost impossible for us for where we are. If we end on a high and we're good, why pull the plug on that and start afresh again? Because that's what we've been doing over and over again. So maybe sometimes some consistency may help. If not, and the names that are being put in the head are you Enriquez. I'm not really a fan of Tuchel, but maybe a big name like Tuchel, maybe we can speak. But if it's no one on that level, that's clear mechanic, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, Luis Enrique or Nagelsmann for me, actually. Those two, like, I honestly think at some point that Manchester United poll should apply to managers as well, where you're going full force, and we'll see what happens with that. Can you imagine if Michael Carrick engineers a win at Arsenal, and now you've gone back-to-back against a City and Arsenal? The noise around him will be deafening, right? And then he goes on, as I say, to lead a United to the top 5, top 4, top 3. Then and they look good. It would be very hard to argue that, yeah, just go in a different direction. But great result from Manchester United, and they halted Manchester City, and it's another weekend where Manchester City failed to win. But Chuck, it's another weekend where Arsenal failed to capitalize because Aston Villa lost as well to Everton, right? And you go back a couple of weeks in the last match day in the Premier League, there were all those results where Chelsea didn't get a result, Aston Villa didn't get a result, Manchester City didn't get a result. Everyone who you would consider Arsenal's closest rivals, although not Chelsea because they're double digits behind Arsenal as well, particularly those two, Aston Villa and Man City, have dropped points consecutive games. But Arsenal, in both of those games, nil results. First at home against Liverpool, and now most recently away against Forest. Is that just pressure? Is that the elephant shifting around uncomfortably on the branch?
The tree. I think it's pressure, but I think the fact that these points are being dropped, or rather they're not extending their advantage when other teams have faltered at this point in time, it's the right time of the year. If it was happening December, early in November, then you're like, you guys are going to have a tough run in. And I think this points buffer is going to be needed. And they only maybe lost out on 2 points potentially because no one actually gained ground on them, but they could have extended. So I think they're going to need every bit of the 7 points they currently hold over second place. But I think, Jay, they've built enough of room for them to be comfortable. Not comfortable, but to not feel the heat of the chase. And I think they'll get another buffer. I think with Pep's side, haven't quite become a team as yet. That's why in January, even though he's got the likes of Abo Savinho, he's got the likes of Doku, who I said because Namanje, what, 2 goals, 2 assists, and he's been quiet ever since. Foden's been hot, Haaland's been hot. Orenders came in, looked a bit hot, and then he cooled off a bit. Cherky starting off from the bench, so they haven't quite found their groove, and also in the back as well, conceding goals very regularly. So I think they're not as fearsome as they tend to be when they're chasing down someone. So there's a bit of wiggle room there. Aston Villa, I think Champions League will always keep them busy and occupied. So if they can't turn their form around now, midweek they'll be tested. Can you do that midweek and then come back on the weekend? So I think Arsenal, having been there and done that, have the advantage over Aston Villa. So I think the points buffer, basically what I'm trying to say is that if you lose it after this, absolutely never going to win it ever again, because I think you've built yourself a healthy enough lead. You've got the personnel, even though the likes of Jesus have only just come back. Kai Havertz is still to feature, and Gyökeres has been in and out. You've had niggles and issues as a team, right? If you are fully fit, fully healthy, I think if you had Saka for the entire campaign, I think maybe it's even 10 points right now, because I think the omission of those players could have given you more points along the way. But even then, Jay, I think you guys have built yourself a good enough lead. You've played very well. You've done so in the Champions League as well. If this is not the season that it gets done, yeah.
Chuck, it is pressure. Arsenal have not gone back-to-back games, no, I think since 2012 or something like that. And now's the time for it to happen. You feel the pressure of being the leaders of, well, there's an advantage given to you. Now go ahead and do it. And in the game against Nottingham Forest, that was completely the players. Martinelli had an inexcusable miss. A lot of chances created by Arsenal, but they just couldn't take them, And you say it could have been a double-digit points lead. Should have been, right? Because Nottingham Forest are, yes, given, this is the Premier League, and any given weekend, anyone can get a result against anyone. So we should respect that, right? And we should take that into consideration. Also, Arsenal are not the only team who are struggling in these situations. Everybody is. That's why these teams find themselves where they are. That's why they find themselves City and Aston Villa 7 points behind Arsenal and everybody else below that. So, because the league table never lies, Arsenal are still, even in this moment, doing better than everybody else, right? I think it's the narrative of the 3 second place finishes in a row. You should finally be able to do it. This one looks like your best ever opportunity. When you have your closest rivals dropping points, you look back to what happened last season. Whenever Liverpool did open the door, Arsenal could not respond, and you are still there. And this would be a worse result than even that first season when Arsenal finished in second place, where they led the table for 90% of the season, because of how everybody else looks, because of the fact that they do look like the strongest team. And I think about results, Chuck, like most recently, as I said, like the draw against Forest are down towards the bottom of the log, and they've been struggling, right? I think even Liverpool at home, Liverpool haven't had a great season after that 5-game run to start off the season, winning all those games, haven't been great. So as well, you want to put a message across against the defending champions that, oh, this is ours this season. You win those games, it's 11 points. There's a game against Chelsea where for 45 minutes you're playing against 10 men. You think about last minute loss against Aston Villa, last minute equalizer against Sunderland. That balloons, But every team can do that, right? Every team can do that. And what the reality of this season is for Arsenal is that they are the strongest league in the team. They should win the league. It's not going to be in at the end of February or in March or maybe at the beginning of April, but they should win it, because we have seen what the other teams look like. And unless there is a miraculous turnaround in what City are doing because they've made purchases, or Aston Villa somehow figure out how to juggle Europe and the league, and they are not as thin and they're not as reliant on goals from outside the box, that is something that looks like has caught up to them as well. Then Arsenal should either run there or walk there or crawl there. or, you know that whole thing. Like if you cannot run, walk. If you can roll on your stomach,
just don't stop. Yeah.
But I think they're gonna get there. I think results like this are things we should expect to happen. I think you need to learn how to win, Chuck. And when you haven't yet, you don't respond the way the champions would in certain situations, because you're not yet champions. You don't know what it takes. And also there is baggage, there is trauma from what has happened in previous seasons what is in their favor, as I'm saying, Arsenal, is that one, they are built on a defensive solidarity, and that should keep them even in the games where they're not firing up front, then they can walk away with the draw. And also the opposition is not great. You don't have a Centurions team in this league. You don't have a 99-point Liverpool team in this league that you have to compete against, where you need to try get as close to 100 to win the league. I think 84, 85 points is going to do it, and I think Arsenal will be the team to get there. It's just not going to happen quickly.
Does it add extra importance the next tie against Man United? Is it a must-win at this point in time? Do you think would a draw suffice for you?
I think you can't lose, which I feel like that sounds like the mentality of Arteta. I'd say it's a must-win, Chuck. I think you want to get back to winning ways. You want to get that feeling that we haven't hit a rut. Because if we're now talking about 3 games in a row where you can't get a win, then you start questioning yourselves, right? And that noise will come from outside. The Emirates crowd have been great for a few seasons now. If you lose against United, I don't know if you don't start hearing some boos, and that quickly is going to trickle down into the dressing room and to the self-belief of those players, right? And it's Manchester United. The whole world is going to be watching that game. I think Arsenal do need to win that. I think a draw would still be an okay result, because Aston Villa and Manchester City, if they win theirs, then what's that, 5 points? It's still a good buffer. But if you lose and they win and it's 4 points, which is, again, where you'd love to be at this point if you were given the opportunity at the start of the season. But because of how it would have gone, then you're going to feel that pressure. So I hope Manchester United come to the Emirates and play. I hope they come there and play the way they did against City, because when that happens, Arsenal tend to be better in those situations. So, yeah, Chuck, I think it's a big game for the Arsenal, and they would do well to win that game.
I think this game comes at interesting times for both teams, because United are on a high after having beaten City, new manager bounce as well, and Arsenal are, for Man United, the best place that you can find them after having not had wins in 2 consecutive games. Because if you think about the game, I think it was this season it's last season where Declan Rice scores the winner, where that game was arguably close, right? It was tight. There are games this season where United would say that they should have won that game, but Arsenal found a way to get a result. There's a belief against this particular side. If you find them down and out and you play your football, this is the only time you think in the entire time you've played them that you can get a favorable result. But also that's when Arsenal need to bounce back, backs to the wall, and they are definitely looking to see can they make the points buffer count. Because if it gets cut down to 4 now, then whatever I've said about it being enough, all of a sudden switches, because they are now down. Momentum is up for whoever's chasing. So it carries a lot of importance. For us, yes, because you want to have us being United, because you want to get to the Champions League places. If you don't do it now, teams are likely to get more stronger while you're still figuring things out, because after a while, new manager bounce does die down. You have to have some sort of chemistry and solidarity and tactics. So if those aren't necessarily in place, you could lose ground. So it's a big one coming up this weekend. Let's see who it favors.
Chuck, I did say to another Manchester United fan that let's shake on it. Let's have a deal that United need to come to the Emirates, lay down for Arsenal, and then it will help you get into the Champions League spots. Now that I think about it, because the teams that are vying for those Champions League spots, Arsenal, let's discount Arsenal, Aston Villa, Manchester City, Chelsea, who else is there?
Liverpool, United.
Liverpool, right? We've already done playing Liverpool for the season. We're done playing Aston Villa for the season. City are coming up, and you wouldn't think they'd be like in that 4th or 5th place. And then Chelsea are the only other team that come to the Emirates. So essentially what I'm saying is we'll beat Chelsea for you.
We've already done you that favor. We beat City for you.
Yes, but I need another favor.
one.
Like, come to the Emirates and don't do anything foolish. Don't do anything foolish. Just lay down. Because, Chuck, here's the thing. This is my deep belief that Manchester United and Arsenal, we run the Premier League together. There's no one without the other. Think back to the heydays of Wenger and Sir Alex Ferguson.
Things have changed. You've changed your back on me. When I've suffered, I didn't want to suffer with
me. The two
me.
are tied together. Listen to me, Chuck.
Okay.
If Arsenal win the league, Pep is going to leave Manchester City. Chelsea are coached by somebody we don't know. We'll see what happens there, right? Spurs are Spurs. Like, nothing to anticipate there. Onslaught and Liverpool are in a crisis, because do we want to continue with this man who spent $500 million and we don't know what this looks like. So that's still something to be figured out. Aston Villa, there's a ceiling. This is as far as they're gonna go. There's an opportunity here. There's an open runway. Arsenal will be champions. Manchester United are gonna have Carrick in the interim, and they're deciding on a great coach, whether it's Carrick or it's one of those big names that I mentioned. It's gonna get in there. It's gonna sort things out. And do you know what's gonna happen? The glory days are gonna return.
Jay.
But this is dependent, Chuck, on Arsenal opening the doorway by winning the Premier League first, and then United come and we duke it out amongst ourselves. Hopefully in reversal, where Arsenal will win more league titles than United. But
I've got an important question to ask you. Does your staff eat from the cafeteria, or do they bring their own lunch? We need Champions League money. Are you telling me if we sacrifice this result, we can still maintain?
You'll make the Champions League because I just said we'll help you
with one game.
Yes, that's all you need. That's all you need. Okay, 3 positions are technically locked up, right? Arsenal, City, and Aston Villa. Maybe
I think there's a 7-point gap
right?
or something there. Yeah.
There's 2 spots. There's 4th and 5th for England again in the Champions League. It's Liverpool and Chelsea. Again, maybe Chelsea will improve under the manager. We'll see, right? But maybe not. This is a manager who's been fired everywhere he's been. And the only reason he's come from Strasbourg is because Blue Co owns Strasbourg as well. Whereas Liverpool as well, draw at home against Burnley. Do we really trust that Liverpool are going to go on a run and secure their place? No, we don't.
No. You know what? I'm not making any deals with you. You hate United. Of all the teams that you hate to win, is United. And
I love winning the Premier League so much more than I hate Manchester United.
If I see Arsenal do it off of the side of United's back, we've done favours already. Those were not taken up, so you're on your own. Jay, in terms of as we wrap it up, the other teams that failed to close in, do they ever pick up their form and do any better than what they're doing now, like the Cities and the Aston Villas and Liverpool? Because Liverpool have spent money, right? Florian Wirtz did get on the score sheet again, but he needs more help than that. Can they improve? Can they make it a race? Or do you think it's just down to Arsenal to lose if they do? Or can these guys rise up and actually make it a challenge?
It's Arsenal's to lose. The league table never lies. We are deep enough into the league to have an idea of what we're dealing with in terms of the teams. Of course, I mean, you saw Aston Villa went on a 10-game winning run, right?
That's why they
still was not enough. Liverpool are actually on a 10-game unbeaten run, but where are they? And Manchester City, I think we always think about them. They are coached by Pep, and they do have reinforcements. They can go on a run, but do we trust that they will? Based on what we've seen, the evidence of 22 games in the Premier League thus far, we don't really. But again, we are post-January, and there's been movement. Arsenal as well are still welcoming Kai Havertz fully back into the fold, right? Califorri still needs to come back then at left back, and you think Arsenal will have their best team going forward. So I think, Chuck, maybe Arsenal don't win this title by 10 points, but this 7 points is around where it's going to remain. Again, unless something catastrophic happens, which has happened to Arsenal before. We've seen it. It could happen again. But I don't think the other teams have enough in their kitty to go on, say, in the last 16 games, 14 wins in 16. I don't think there's anyone in the whole group from number 1 to 20 that has that in them. So this is what we've seen is what we should continue to get. All right. That is the Premier League wrap from what happened over the past weekend. Arsenal failing to take full advantage once again of the opportunity, this time given to them by Manchester United and Everton over at Aston Villa, but they still do have the 7-point buffer. We'll see what happens in the next round of games. The big one coming up on the weekend, of course, is Manchester United up against Arsenal at the Emirates. And we will be back here talking about everything that transpired in that one and in the other games over the weekend, in other matters in football and in sport as well. Please do subscribe to the channel if you've not yet done so. Please do like the content, spread the content, share it far and wide. Leave your comments in the comments section. Leave your comments for us across all social media platforms. You can find us on those social media platforms at 2Upfront Pod. That is our handle. Mine is at @J_Mzulu. Chuck's is at Chuck2Up. From Jay, on the top of the table, goodbye.
I know Arsenal at the top of the table, but allow me to say this. I might regret it. United are back.